Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast, Season 3, Episode 98. Recorded on the 13th of April 2024, released on the 22nd of April 2024. I was looking at the wrong one, nearly there, so you nearly ended up with the wrong date. Not that it particularly would have made more difference, you probably would just go, hey, that's not the date. But maybe in one of your countries, because obviously a time difference with the way YouTube works, it's global. Yeah, but in this episode, it's not one of your suggestions, because as I mentioned in yesterday's episode, I did, that's all the review suggestions. Movie-wise, there's a TV show, which is Reacher, which, similar to Lift, The Outlaws, and Wonka, I hadn't thought about reviewing, but yes, obviously because of the amount of episodes and the length, it's going to take longer for me to get there, and with other stuff. But yes, I'm actually going to explain some context for the review of this episode and the ones coming up in the next couple of days or so. So yes, back to the context. So, if you will have watched the channel, though, I have always explained that there's 4 pillars, I suppose, or 4 topics, I would say, or 4, because they're not shows, like 4 franchises-ish, because one of them technically isn't, but yeah, and they are DC, Marvel, Neighbours, and Doctor Who. Now, Neighbours and Neighbours is all year round, so there's obviously quite a lot of reviews, so I'm actually collating them, and they'll be done at a later point. Doctor Who is a little bit different because it's only at a certain time of the year, which starts the 11th of May, so coming up soon I will explain, in the next couple of weeks, I will explain and I think it's about a week and a half, maybe closer to 2 weeks. I will go through, because I'll do a preview of Doctor Who Season 1 and I'll explain, because it's a little bit different to what I did with the 2023 specials of the 60th anniversary, 3 specials and the Christmas special, just because I want to do more varied content, I suppose you would say. So yeah, I'll explain that. Neighbours, as I said, is all year round. Marvel is kind of in between. It's definitely close to Doctor Who because it's not all year round. But yeah, I don't do that in quite the same way. But in one of my live streams I reviewed the Marvel, so if you haven't gone to see that, check that out. I did some Doctor Who news in my first one, but that was split into 2 parts. So in today's episode, I've waffled on a bit about the context of the channel. Obviously, I do more stuff, like for example, like suggestions like The Outlaws and Wonka recently since I've been back. And there's been like Abbott Elementary, Friends, and Top Gear, and the Traitors that Chuck covered with the reviews that I wrote, but didn't have time to record. In this episode, I'm going to be reviewing Into the Spiderverse. Now you might be going, there's a new one out, why are you doing this one first? Because I kind of thought, well, they probably match up quite well, so I thought I'll do the first one, and then the second one is coming. It's down the line a little bit further, because this was obviously I wasn't going to do the second one before I did the first one, so that's why. But yes, here is my review of Into the Spiderverse. We have the title sequence. Peter Parker introduces himself. Miles sings whilst drawing. Miles quickly packs a suitcase. Miles leaves for school. Miles runs down a street. Miles nearly gets hit by a police car. The officer driving the car is Miles' dad, who gives him a lift to school. Miles' dad doesn't like suits, but no, Spider-Man. Wrong franchise there. Or wrong company there, rather. Miles arrives at his new school. Miles' dad embarrasses Miles. Miles attends multiple lessons. Read that wrong. Miles does not want to attend his new school. Miles struggles to write an essay. Miles visits his Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron gives Miles some romantic advice. Miles and Uncle Aaron jump over a fence. Miles does some graffiti. Uncle Aaron tells Miles and him and Miles' dad that's typo. Because I've seen it, obviously. Uncle Aaron tells Miles about him and Miles' dad doing graffiti before Miles' dad became a police officer. Miles gets bitten by a spider. Miles and Gwen introduce themselves to each other. Miles gets one of his hands stuck in Gwen's hair. Miles starts to overthink about the Gwen situation. Miles is being chased by a security guard. Miles has sticky hands and feet which he uses to escape out of a building. Miles manages to find his room from the outside. Miles' stickiness saves his life by jumping over a car. Miles enters a tunnel and finds a huge spider. Miles witnesses a fight between Spider-Man and Green Goblin. Spider-Man saves Miles. Spider-Man fights someone else. Kingpin kills Spider-Man. A villain is chasing Miles. Miles returns home. The entire world finds out about Spider-Man's death. Miles falls from a significant height. Miles visits Spider-Man's grave. Miles electrocutes the villain. Another Spider-Man introduces himself. This Spider-Man is from another universe. Miles and this Spider-Man are attached. I merged words there. Miles interrogates this Spider-Man. This Spider-Man has frequent atomic seizures. That will be explained soon. This Spider-Man doesn't seem to care about Miles or his universe. This Spider-Man agrees to train Miles. Dr. Octopus shows Kingpin something sciencey. Kingpin gives Dr. Octopus a 24-hour deadline. Dr. Octopus fangirls over this Spider-Man. Dr. Octopus restrains and attacks this Spider-Man. Dr. Octopus also chases Miles. Miles swings into a tree. Dr. Octopus continues to chase Miles and this Spider-Man. Miles learns how to swing. Another Spider-Person joins in. This Spider-Person is known as Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen introduces herself. Kingpin loses his wife and child. Kingpin wants to resurrect his family. Miles, Gwen and Spider-Man enlist the help of this universe's Aunt May. Miles, Spider-Man and Gwen meet other Spider People. These Spider People introduce themselves. Miles vows to save all the Spider People. The Spider People train Miles. Miles disappears. Miles' parents are worried about Miles' whereabouts. Miles' Uncle Aaron is working for Kingpin. Miles tells the Spider People about his Uncle Aaron. Several villains fight the Spider People. Miles and Uncle Aaron reveal their secret identities to each other. Kingpin shoots Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron says goodbye to Miles. Miles destroys his room. The Spider People console Miles. The Spider People say goodbye to Miles. Miles has a new suit. The Spider People infiltrate Kingpin's party. Spider People kidnap Kingpin's security guards. The Spider People fight Dr. Octopus and Kingpin's remaining security guards. Miles helps the Spider People. There's no plural there. Miles and the Spider People say goodbye to each other. Miles fights Kingpin and Miles gets Kingpin arrested. That's it for my review of Into the Spider-Verse, which, as I've mentioned, is the first movie. Across the Spider-Verse, which is the second movie, is a sequel to this movie, which I'll review later on in season 3. Later on in season 3. I think that's pretty much it for this episode. I just would like to say thank you for bearing with me over the last, because you will have noticed I've recorded all 3 of these episodes on the same day, so I'm still getting back in the swing of things. I actually looked between recording the episodes, and Chuck actually recorded 30 episodes. I didn't think it was that many, I don't know why, but yeah, 30 episodes. I didn't think I'd been away that long. But obviously you will remember there was a week where there wasn't any episodes because I'd fallen significantly behind. There was no reviews, there was no nothing. That was kind of what it was. But yes, I'm getting back up to feet. Obviously, we went from me writing and recording And then we had that week off, and then I was writing and Chuck was recording, and then I'm back to writing and recording, which is kind of what I wanted. Like Matthew, who I've explained before, animates these episodes, otherwise you would just see squiggly lines when I'm speaking. I started this by myself. That's kind of how I had anticipated that it was always going to be, but then Matthew introduces himself to me, and he's been animating the episodes since the second half of season 1, I seem to think, so quite a while. So yeah, that's probably got something to do with my subscriber count as well, so thank you to Matthew as well. But yes, remember, you can like, comment and subscribe, and in the comments below please also comment any suggestions. I'd love to review something that you have suggested, because obviously everything else is I kind of come up with and go, that sounds good, I'll review that, I like watching that, I'll do that. Yes, so you can do that in the comments below as well. And remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe. And that's it for the Everything Podcast Season 3, Episode 98. Goodbye.